to this week's video. It's a studio vlog where I'm showing you a busier week of doing mostly my uni assignments compared to my draw with me video where I was drawing more for pleasure. As you can see, I am very excited for Christmas and decorated a bit to get even more in the festive spirit. Christmas break is still after 3 weeks though, so I have to draw a lot if I want to be free during the holidays. So let's begin with the first assignment I'm working on this week. A lot of these are projects that I am continuously working on for weeks, and this is one of them. I started with some reference photos. I had to make 2 pieces. This one's about joy, holding hands, holding a baby, and creating. I decided to express the emotions through gestures of the hands. This was the initial sketch, then I started experimenting with the background. I had other rules to follow too, regarding the composition and the colors, so it was pretty difficult to create. It took me around 2 weeks and many failed attempts, but I painted the hands, added different patterns, and finally finished it. I love how it turned out, but the more difficult part will be to actually paint them, as this is all just a digital sketch. Again, the same process, but about paint, reference photos, painting the hands, experimenting with the background. This one is a lot harder for me as the colors are meant to be darker and I want the background to be different and the hands to pop out. And in the next clip you will see me experimenting a lot. You saw a few, but you didn't see all the versions I did for joy, and so far about paint I've done at least 5 different options for the background and I still haven't found the one that fits. Here I tried a similar approach with the liquify effect on Photoshop like I did for joy, but I hated it here. The closest thing I got to liking it was the last one with the geometrical shapes. I think I was really onto something. And it looks cool to me, the painful side to be with more sharp edges and pointier shapes, compared to the circles and twirls in joy, but this is still a work in progress. In high school, I did everything last minute and I hated it, so in uni I told myself that in order to be prepared for my lectures, I have to make time for progressing on each task every week instead of finishing one task this week and another next week like I did in my first year. For another class I have to make 3 posters about eyes, ears and mouth without any text. This one is about the eye of a man that sees his own killer, therefore the dagger in the pupil. I did 5 slightly different options. This year all teachers constantly repeat to us to make a few options and sketches before painting. Apparently I finally started to listen. This is the finished result. It's 50 by 70 centimeters painted with gouache. It reminds me of Crime and Punishment now that I think about it. I think if the dagger was an axe, maybe it would be a good book cover. My poster for ears and mouth aren't that dramatic at all and I'm still sketching them. Not long ago there were elections in Bulgaria. I guess that inspired me to create this mouth that is pulled by puppeteers, aka it's corrupted, but later on I made the strings into a bow with the idea of don't gift or give away your right to have an opinion, to make choices. And this one is about ears and having a sort of mental hygiene as to what information we allow to go into our minds. I made it in a more comic style originally, but the idea was to be as simple as possible, so I had to combine them in one more simple object. So here I'm doing a quick sketch. And I also made a few more about mouth, because my teacher didn't like the previous idea but liked the bow and how I drew it, so I had to draw the mouth or a smile as sort of a present. But these two are still works in progress. Moving on to my Linocut class, the current topic is the secret garden, and I decided to use one of my old drawings and transform it a bit. It's about change, and on the original I had written, "Let the tears of change water seeds of new beginnings." That's why I think it's perfect for the task, because after some painful change, you can't see it on the outside, but on the inside, in our minds, a whole new garden starts to bloom, often a new mindset that leads to new possibilities, and I think it's very beautiful. I finished it today and want to show you the different versions I went through. First I made it black and white, but it all looked too flat, so I had to add some strokes and shadows to make it better. At first I made too many of the black strokes everywhere and lost the shape. Then there was too much blank white space, and finally, I made everything work together. I did the hair in a different manner and redid the flowers all over. So next week will be the harder part of carving it, as it is very detailed, but I hope I can do it. So I just got back from my ceramics class and I want to show you the first thing that I made because I really like it. Here she is. I really like her. She's very far from perfect because the black paints didn't distribute evenly everywhere. But it is my first attempt, so I really love it and I want to make more of these. I think it's so pretty. It's with these abstract faces that I like to paint. I literally have them on everything that I make. This one has nothing to do with my uni classes, it's just a challenge I made for myself to draw human bodies in more complicated poses and try to outline the major bone structures under the skin. Turns out I know very little about anatomy because this exercise was very hard for me. I used my little book, I referenced 2 more anatomy books online and even my own drawings of some of the bones, and some details are still a bit unclear to me if I have to be honest, so I'll probably show it to my teacher and ask for help to correct my mistakes. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and I stumbled on some artist who said that his brain literally knows where everything in the body is and how it works, so why wouldn't you just tell him? And I find this question very valid. I often draw different models and I have drawn the skeleton a few times, but the two don't always click together in my head. I hadn't gone to any drawing lessons until a few months before starting uni. So everything I've learned about anatomy, I've learned in the last 2 years, so I still have a lot to learn. And I strongly believe that it's one of the most important things to master in art. The other poses I drew during the week were fine, but this one was a bit harder for me. I don't know that much about the structures on the back, if I have to be honest. The shoulders as a whole are a bit unclear to me, so I'm a bit ashamed of how much time it took me to place the shoulder blades. I even use myself as a reference in the mirror sometimes. But hey, I'm still learning and I spent a lot of time trying to get better, so I hope I'll eventually get there. The final task for the week is to work a bit on an online course I'm taking. Recently I found a website called Domestika. They have a bunch of different courses and I signed up for Introduction to Design of Characters for Animation in Video Games. I was torn between that and a course on Illustrator, but this one is completely new to me and I have nothing like this in my uni classes. So I decided to try it and it turned out to be very interesting to me. The lectures are pre-recorded and you can watch them whenever you have time, and you can do it as slow as you want if you're busy but still want to learn something new. I take it slower than I would like to, but I've learned so much and it sparked my curiosity on animation and character development, which I didn't know is something that I'm interested in, so it is very worth it. The final task will be to create my own characters, which is very exciting. I think for the little price, this is a lot of information and a great opportunity to expand your skills and knowledge, even if you don't have a lot of free time. I'm still on the first task, which is to take 5 characters and put them in different poses through simple shapes. I already did 3 of them, and you see me working on Mike Wazowski. Anyways, I think when you study art in school, it's equally as important to keep practicing and creating outside of school. It makes a lot of difference in the skills you have by the end of every year and how much you've grown. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. This week was rather busy and I asked on Instagram if you want to see this type of more school related content, as it was the only thing I could film this week and a lot of you said yes, which made me very happy. I hope you liked it. The holidays are soon and I'll have more time for new or different types of content. If you like the video, you can subscribe, you can always leave a comment, and as usual, my Instagram will be linked down below. Have a great rest of the week and till next time!